Okay, back again. It's like the fourth time I've been back online today. It's as if I haven't got anything to do. I've decided I'm going to crack on and see how much I can get done on GELGUS PUST. Now, I've already dicked about a bit, and I have added in, kind of blocked in most of the basic colours. I haven't really done anything to the wings or this like fly area at the back, which I'm assuming is probably all going to be kind of black-esque. What I'm going to try and concentrate on is dirtying up this armour. Now, we're also coming to the realisation that I don't actually have all of the old colours that I used to use when I first started doing my maggot kin. I need some water. So I'm going to wing it. I'm going to wing it and see what we can do with the limited palette available. So normally I'd have used some typhus corrosion. What I don't have that. What I do have is some AK corrosion texture, which might as well be the same thing. I need a sacrificial brush. I choose you because this stuff has clumped up a fair bit. I need it to be a bit more liquidy. So I'm going to slap it in the lid a second, and I'm just going to see if just watering it down will give me a slightly more painty consistency. No, it doesn't need to be painty. It just needs to be not solid. Because what I used to like to do with the typhus corrosion was slap it in all of the recesses. Quite liked the fact that it gave more texture to it. I wouldn't mind some form of medium as well. What's this? This will do. It says medium on it, so let's bang that in there as well. Who knows, it might work. Plus, I can't forget now because it's live, so if I ever forget what the hell I've just been up to, I can always look back at this. So let's mix that in together for a second. I'll say I just want it because I want to be able to push it up into the recesses. And I am going to destroy a brush doing this. So it's the GW medium layer brush. It's your time. It's your time, sorry. So we'll see what happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this up in and around. It doesn't matter about the colour for it because we're going to go back in and paint it. But I do want to add a bit more texture into these armour plates. Oh, and also I should probably point out all my Blight Kings are like a cream coloured armour. Can't say I've ever thinned this stuff down, so I don't know what it's going to do. I'm hoping it's not going to fuck its dry time up because it's generally got a slightly decent dry time. So what I'll do is I'll go back in, probably with some Wraith Bone because I'm going to put in do some washes. And we'll go back in and kind of glaze that out. Just get it on there for a minute. Could be completely screwing this up, who knows. So I want this blade to be as rusty as I can. But not silly rusty. And I also want those kind of faces that are in there to stand out a bit. We've got some dirty down. Tempted to use it, but I don't like it because it's actually quite hard to control the colours. I'm really just putting this on just so I can get that bitty texture. So I'd normally use Typhus Corrosion, but I've no idea where it is, and even though I'm a shop, I'm actually out of it. That's one for the reorder on Monday. Armour colour at the moment, it's literally just been dry brushes. So I've just been dry brushing them up. So let's clean that off. And just push this all back. It's all still wet enough that it's not fully sat there. Now, I don't know if that's going to be enough. Well, we can always reapply. I'd rather take it away while it's wet. See, not on the sword. The sword's going to stay. Oh, do you know what? I'd like that axe head to be all rusty as well. Axe head? Mace. Right, let's just get some texture bits on there. And assuming this works, we'll be doing the same thing to the actual, what are they called, rot swords. And we haven't done any metallics over anything yet. We'll just rust that bit up before we paint them in. I have done some metallics on the legs, so we'll just plop that over the top as well. The reason that this brush is a sacrificial brush is because this stuff and Typhus Corrosion will destroy it. This brush will be dead come the end. I think we'll put a bit on that fly symbol as well. Right. I will see if that dries, how it dries, not if it dries. I've got an old pot of gold here. Now, for the bronze stuff, to be honest, all I'll do is I'll start with a base coat of gold, and it doesn't matter which gold because I'm going to mess with it. So I'll just go with the tried and tested Retributor armor. This is an old pot as well, because I just want a gold base down. Straight out of the pot like some sort of heathen. Again, the best thing I like about Nurgle is we get to mess around so much. So much prattling about. And we get to verdigris. We get to use rust streaks and mess about with that. I think we're going to have a gold skull as well. And we're 100% making sure that the fly is going to be. So these will all be bronzy, basically, come the end. They're not going to stay gold. I just like to have a nice bright gold to work with. And it's easy enough to bronze up. So, oh yeah, the fly on the shoulder pad here. Did say that, didn't I? Meh, if it mixes in with that texture paint, it's not the worst thing to happen. It's fine. Right. Oh, I think we're going to have a brass bell coming off the antler there. And then we just need just to finish those bits there. And then there's a rather big one right on here. I'm not going with the box art because I honestly don't care. I've got a Magickin army and I'd like these to fit in with them as well as possible. So just while that rust stuff is drying even more, I am going to find what do I want? I'm just going to find a very thin, I made a pot of this absolutely ages ago. It's just a pot of very thinned down Black Templar contrast paint, because I think I'm going to block these in knowing that they're going to be essentially bug legs. I assume that this character's story would be like, I'm guessing that they're going through some sort of like apotheosis, because they got some big ass wings on their back and there's like a fly. They seem to be turning into a giant fly. Whether or not, it's weird. I am actually going to have to read the backstory for it, because if I remember rightly, the big flies are people or demons or something. But I thought it was more of a punishment than a boon. I could be wrong, I can't remember. I am just going to black out this hairy fly back as well. We'll probably black blue it in some way. But for the minute, just so it's just blocked in with colour of some description, it will go black. So I actually thought it was like a cloak or something, but it's actually like quills. They're actually coming out of the skin. It's another reason that this brush is now a sacrificial brush, because this contrast paint, even though it's thinned down, has gone all the way up. So that's going to destroy it even quicker. Okay. All right, let's black that out. So next, while other things dry, I'm going to pasty up this skin again. So it was just dry brushed up, essentially to white, from black and brown. And then what I did is I slapped over a super thin down mix. I have a pot of it, of just a couple shades together, like Druky Violet, Reikland Flesh Shade, and a bit of Carabao Crimson. I just use it as like a gross flesh wash. I generally use it just as I'm starting up any skin tones that I do. And then what I'll generally do is start messing about, lightening it back up with Pallid Witch Flesh, but not everything. And there will be more coats of fleshy tone washes applied, so we'll end up with like much brighter areas and then a lot like more bruised and dark areas. All of my Blight Kings have like a pale bruised flesh tone. I think I generally find then it pops when you start adding in things like pustules and stuff, although these guys actually have less pustules, I think, than generally used to. Do like the grimace, like rictus grin that this character's got as well. pick the fingernails out quite a bit more. And so just while that rust is drying, just use this time to brighten up the flesh tones a bit more. Powdered witch flesh doesn't have the best coverage, which is why I really like just popping in and using it to re-highlight the skin. And it's got like a chalky sort of like, it goes down like weird. Obviously, this is just how I do my flesh. I think the box art one is the standard sort of like greeny tones. The greeny sort of pox flesh, which is nice, it's fine. It's just that none of mine are painted that way, so I'm not painting mine like that. I want this to seamlessly go into my army, if they're viable. So I will stick with the bruised, inflamed sort of flesh. I do like the fact that one of his arms is all like fat and massive. So yeah, there's a few pustules, not very many, but there are a few. So generally with them, all I'll do is I'll go in, I'll paint them as like a nice bright yellow or a Uriel yellow or something, and then I'll go back in with like Blood for the Blood God, and I'll thin it down a little bit, and then I'll generally go into the recesses of all the pustules so they've got like, it'll look like they're sore and seeping. Now it's looking a bit bright. That's more my camera. I've even had to turn off my lights because if my lights are on, he will look like he's glowing currently. The camera's gone a bit weird. But yeah, so what will happen is I'll go over this. I'll just try and pick up all the highest points. And I will normally spend quite a bit of time dicking about with the skins and stuff. But like I say, it's the fun thing about Nurgle, is you get to do this sort of stuff. As boring as some people might find it. I actually do quite enjoy it. Now, there was a bit of a seam on this arm when it got pushed together. Should be easily hidden by the paint. So I'll just pick out another couple bits of high points on here. We'll let that dry. Okay, let's go back in and dick about with that armor. So now, she applied gold. So first thing I'm going to do is, I have no idea what's happened to most of my paints. Like my Agrax Earthshade disappeared, so I'll just have to go and grab another one. So I'm going to Agrax all this gold. Because, as I said, I don't want it to be gold. I'm going to take the opportunity as well. Now this was just like Gargrax Sewer or something like that for the leather. I'm just going to Agrax that as well. Because what I want to do is I want that Agrax to go into the recesses where we've just applied that rust, that corrosion texture, whatever it's called. Annoyingly, this is a new pot of Agrax. The pot that I did have on the go was an old original one, which was like a really nice matte finish, but I don't know where that's gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jab that Agrax just in where that rust texture was applied to, but kind of keeping it closer. And I'll just stipple it about in the bits where there's no real recesses. So I don't want to completely cover those. There's a skull here, so he's going to get a covering for a second. And then I'm just going to wipe that off with my finger. And I'm just going to poke it in up anywhere where I can reach. Silver's going to have the same treatment. I'm only going to put it around the very edge though, of that bit there. I'm not going to touch it to the nails. I am going to stab it up a little bit up under the belly where this chainmail is. And the same up here. So there's that done there. And then we've got these knee pads. Did I just do it to that? I did just do it to that one. So I'm just going to go up along into that recess there. And there's this leg plate here. Okay. Now I don't know how dry it is on the sword. So I'm just going to apply it to this area at the bottom. It's there. Say, generally with Nurgle, it's just start putting colours down. Just start slapping paint on and see what happens. See what sticks. See what looks fine. We can always go back in and fix it. I'm not using anything fancy. As I say, I would have been using all GW so far. I would have literally been using Typhus Corrosion, but I didn't have any to hand. Oh, that should be silver. Not sure why that's not silver. And then just that back of the mace, down to the chain. And as I say, because I'm not 100% sure if that rust stuff has actually dried out yet, I'm not going to touch that with the wash for a minute. Okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with the horns. I assume they're going to be brown. I'm going to Agrax them for a minute. I'll just hit them with shade for a sec. Hello, hello. Okay, so this is where things are going to get interesting. So I'm using Wraithbone. Now, I used to use Wraithbone, and I swear to God that Wraithbone used to be a very thick, well-coveraged pot. So I've got a newer pot, and it seems really, really watery. So I'm just going to give it a nuking on my shaker. It literally sounds like water. Now, this may be a bit too bony coloured. May look a bit stark. All I'm going to do, I'm just using it. I want to just stipple out some of that agrax. I think it'll work. I think. We shall find out. And worst case scenario is I'll just add more rusty stuff later. I'll just go in, take some of that brown away. And I've got things like sepia wash to mess about with. Poor old brush, you've already been through the ringer, and now you're being used to stab. Stabby stab. So most of this armour was all dry brushed in, so it's a bit patchy to begin with anyway. But basically all I'm doing is just stippling back just where that rusty, where that stain is, which is why it wasn't that important on how close I got that through. But nicely, it gives it another little bit of texture. We can go lighter, we can mess about. Having the old dot of light bits isn't that bad a thing, although I am going to go back in with some Rhinox hide at some stage, do some chip in, and then we will highlight those chips. So having a couple like bright patches isn't a problem. Really just essentially putting texture where there isn't any. It's also really good for like removing things like the tide marks or coffee stains or anything where you've used like a wash and you can blatantly see that you've used that wash. You can stipple the highlights back in as well. Like there, where that rust has come out way too far. And just go back in, and not only can we then cover up that like quite obvious paint line, but we can also essentially add some texture into it. Just with some speckles. There's a bit up there where the dry brushing didn't take. Like, no one can actually see it, as it is very well hidden, but I can get it there and just stipple in. Give it a sort of mottled look. Hi mate, how you doing? Hello bud. I just realised I've had my mic muted all this time. This is what happens when you have to mute your mic every once in a while to speak to someone, and then you completely forget. So, sorry, Johan. He's not that small. He's on a 50mm base, so he's pretty big. But yes, sorry. I don't even know what I've just been saying for the past like 20 minutes, by the way. So, or however long it's been that I've been muted. I've talked to a couple of customers. If it's any consolation of my madness, what the hell? How did I manage to do that? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm just thinking about now. I'm missing my typhus corrosion. I am missing my corrosion. It's made me a little bit sad that I don't have that to hand. But you can adapt. You can always adapt. Oh, Nurgle is the best. He is my fave. He is the Lord of Life. So I'm just going to use this opportunity before I make them minging, even more minging, to brighten up all of the stuff that I want to be brassy. I'm going to verdigris the crap out of it anyway, but I just like to have as many different colours in the metallics as possible. So I'm just going to use some Sycorax bronze. Just going to stipple it on. So I've got to sort out that. If I missed it, it should have been silvered. Maybe I won't notice so much. Yeah, don't have my palette of choice, but it's not going that badly. It's really not. I'm just going to shake up my mix of Ready Purple. I am back on, aren't I? Yeah. See my mic levels moving. I literally turned around and noticed the mic levels weren't moving. I was like, oh, fuck. I should do that again. So I'm going to go back in with this wash mix. I did slap some Druky Violet Purple wash in a couple of little places just because I wanted to. I'm just going to go back in again, and then I'll probably go back in again with Pallid Witch Flesh and brighten it all back up again. And then I'm going to make a mix because, so this mix here that I'm using, which is very pinky, is not actually my preferred mix. I do like a mix of Druky Violet, Reikland Flesh Shade, and Caribou Crimson. And then very thin, a lot of medium. And I really like it as an over, just to keep slapping over flesh. I think it works really well. Now, it's actually, considering all I've been doing is prattling about, he's actually not looking too bad, considering. So what I need now Wow, that's not good, is it? I think my mic died, probably. God knows. I have no idea when. Thanks for telling me that. How long have I been talking to myself, do we reckon? Be a while. That was not ideal. But yeah, we're on the just about hour and 10-minute mark. So I think, sound problems aside, this video is probably yeah, yeah. I can see it's working now. I can see the bars moving on my mic thing. So yeah. Oh, do you know what? There are bits I want to finish on here. I'm not going. I was gonna go drop off, but looking at him, there's still so much that needs doing, and I really do want to mess around with a few bits and pieces. There's some enamels that I want to plop on, so there's a lot of work that needs doing. I think maybe I just crack on and get it done. I need to figure out what I'm doing with these wings. I don't want them to be super bright. Contemplating just staining them purple and then working on it from that point. So maybe we'll go with that for a second. Because I feel like if I come back to this later and then Thanks. It's all my magotkin are all like this, painted this way. So I'm trying to match it all up to my AOS army. I think we're going to go purple. I think. And we can mess with it later. At least if I stain it purple now, I'm committed to it. I probably should have gone green. Just for something different. Although the skin looks relatively purple, it's not going to stay like that. It will be a lot more pale. So I'll probably be okay with a purple set of wings. Oh, no, it's not actually pinned into the base, so I could get in here probably if I wanted to, but then at the end of the day, once it's glued in, no one's seeing under there anyway. Yeah, I think some purple wings is fine. I think that'll work. Now, I don't think anything has dried technically enough for me to go messing about with the enamels. Oh, I'm now like, do I risk it? Do I risk it? I feel like I could risk it. I do need to tone down this middle belt again though. Let's just do that a second while I remember. Okay. At that point now where I'm just staring, trying to figure out what bit I'm doing next. I really need to go back over the skin tones. So I think that's what I'm doing next. It is. Let's just shake this up. A bunch of my paints are all like on the verge of death. I refuse to switch them out. It's quite annoying. This one is, I use powdered witch flesh a lot, so it has a tendency of going gloopy quite quick. Let's just give that a shake up and see if we can get it. I need it to be thinner anyway, because I need to glaze the skin back up. Let's see if I can bring the paint back to life enough. Okay. Yeah, it's gloopy enough. It'll do. So this is going to be bright, isn't it? Oh, it's fine. So normally what I do with my Nurgle skin is I keep staining it and I keep staining it and I keep bringing it back up. I use pallid witch flesh to do it. And what will happen is, at some stage, you should end up with pale flesh, but recesses with different tones, reds and purples, and I'll get some Blood for the Blood God and I will thin it out and I will put it in the recesses and we'll work it around certain bits just to make it look more bloodied and bruised. That's the idea anyway. How are we doing for time anyway? What time is it now? I'd say 3:10. It's fine. My God, we could go for more hours and hours and hours. I'm not going to. I feel like the 4 hours or 4 hours or so I've already done today is probably enough. Although I have only spent an hour painting, so it's a lot less painting than I normally do in a day. But yeah, it's looking a bit too purple skinned at the moment. It's not the idea. It's not supposed to be the end result. So I'm gonna bring him back up to a pasty skin tone. Without removing all of the work that's already been done. And there is still, to be honest, a bit too much black from the initial dry brushing in some of these bits as well. So just go in super gentle and just try and pull some of it back out. Okay. Just kind of like what I did with the armor. I'm just going to stipple in with pallid witch flesh. And then we will go back in with some shades. Because I don't really want the... I'm not sure actually how this black is showing so much because I could actually use a bunch of brown. But I don't think the brown was strong enough. There's already quite a big difference there. He's definitely a bit too purple. I think what I'll do is this will be the last thing I do, I think, for today, is going to be, I'm going to re-highlight this flesh, and I'm going to mix up a flesh tone wash. And just get that all over him again. Not use my premix, because my premix is just a bit too pinky purple. It's not bad for some stuff, but I don't think I'm going to use it as my all over wash anymore. Just maybe just a recess. Especially since I've gone for purple wings, so the purple skin tone is a bit too samey. Oh, thank you. I appreciate another subscriber. They're watching now. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I was just looking at the back of his hand there where I hadn't actually already done a retouch on the flesh tone. It's just purple. It should be fine if I wanted purple flesh, but I don't want purple skin tone. So I'm just going to step all this back up. That was a bit too bright. Just spread that about a bit. Take it away. So certain things like there on the back of his hand, it was quite dark, like a dark grey. That's where the original dry brush is still there. I've just not managed to get to that part. Same with the top of the head there. Okay, so probably not bright enough, but then I'm going to end up going back over this again at some stage. Our skin tone is still quite purple. So what I need is, let's get a, what the hell is that? Why is it wet? It's enamel of some description. Definitely don't want to use that. It's random. I wonder why that's not dry. Okay, so I need a new pot of lamium medium for one. I don't have any lamium to hand. I don't know what the hell's happened to all my stuff. I sat here with everything I need and most of my things have disappeared. So let's grab some lamium. All right, lamium. We've got purple. And what's that there? There's some Reichland Flesh Shade. And I just need a Carabao Crimson. Apparently my Carabao Crimson is nowhere to be seen. Right, I think that's right. If I remember correct. Okay, so let's give this a shake. Ten Cities of Sigmar models for your priest. What does this mean? Got a whole bloody Cities of Sigmar army still stuck somewhere. I haven't even started it and then just gave up. And way too many other things I had to do. Plus, they're not Nurgle. Nurgle always gets precedence. Right, shaky shake. Alright, let's go with lamium first so that I don't contaminate my lamium. And I don't seem to have a dropper anywhere, so let's just do this old fashioned way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh! Painting for your priest. I see. That makes more sense. Let's go with one big blob of purple. That's probably way too much purple. Let's go with one big blob of red. Now, I have not used the Carabed Crimson as a new pot. I've been using old. So that's going to be interesting. Now let's go for 1, 2, 3. I think that's way too much purple. We'll see. That's not bad. That might work. Seems translucent enough. Almost rage shady coloured. Let's see what this does. I'm going to put it down here first. No, that'll do. That's what we want. Yeah. Right, so powdered witch flesh has a tendency of being quite chalky looking. So the brush strokes and stuff show up quite a lot. So you normally need something to like stick over the top of it just to filter it back in. As I say, my flesh tone premix sort of thing I've got is I made it up. I thought I'd made it to this colour, but it wasn't. It was way too purpley. I couldn't be bothered to try and fix it. Whereas this is exactly what I want, he says. But this has got, it's so thin that it doesn't matter. That's very cool. I always find it funny. People have stories of like being in groups of or going to clubs or even in work, and they've been there for like ages or stuff like that, and then they suddenly find out they've got a massive like just a massive nerd community in like the strangest of places. Always good. It's like its own religion in itself. Right, so that's the idea. Now, there's no way that that's getting picked up on the camera, but what will happen is that will dry at some point. I got a couple customers like that. I like dread to think what their houses are like. I assume it's just wall-to-wall boxes. Okay, I'm happier with that. I do need that to dry, and then I do need to then reapply. Do you know what I am? I'm going to prat about with some enamel for a second while that's drying, because I want to mess about with. That's really cool. Really cool. It's unexpected of places. Although I think there's a church near me where they do a bunch of gaming actually. I don't know if it's involved. I don't know if the church rent their hall out or if they actually do anything with it. They do it themselves. Do I have another sacrificial brush that I can use? I do have one that I've cut chunks into that's supposed to be my enamel brush. Oh my god, am I using my enamel brush? No, I'm not. Here it is. This is my enamel brush. I know it's my enamel brush because I cut these little bits of paint off of it. It stops me from sticking it in my mouth. It's supposed to stop me from sticking it in my mouth, I should say. Right. So this is AK's light rust wash, and it is bright as hell. It will not be staying on it as is. And we'll be reducing that and removing it back down. But I want to use it, so I'm going to slap it on this brush. I actually want to put it in the face holes because I want to take it off, but I want the bright yellow to stay in those holes. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to, for science, I'm going to cover this whole friggin' blade. It will look horrible. It will look terrible, but it's fine. End of the day, if I end up messing these faces up, I'm just going to cover it in more rust. Oh, I have a vast collection of knackered brushes, but I have the benefit of owning and pretty much living in a shop, so I don't really mind sacrificing my brushes too much. You know what? I'm going to go ham on this. Let's just go all in. I remember this stuff drying relatively fast, so should be able to take it off pretty quick. Just got to be careful that I don't touch any of that to the acrylic, because, well, it doesn't do anything. But it's kind of a bit silly of me to be working with enamels and acrylic at the same time when they're not both. It's better off with one of them being dried. In fact, even though I am a man that does not have any hair, I do have a hairdryer right by my feet. I'm going to mute my mic for just a second while I blow dry my mini. 2 secs. There we go. That's better. Alrighty, so let's grab a spongy sponge with some white spirit on. Dear God, look at the state of that now. I told you it'd go bright, didn't I? What I want to happen is I'd like a lot of that rusty yellow to stay in those faces, which I think it has. We'll find out. Can't rub too hard because I'm not sure how set the corrosion texture is. It's no biggie. I have not finished with prattling about with rust. I just don't use that one very often. It's way too bright. But it will do the trick for this for the minute. 100% cannot stay on those chains like that. Oh, it looks terrible. So we're going to have to go in with a brush. Where has he gone? There he is. Back in a mo. Singles, yeah. Yeah, it's all Phantasmal Flames release.
Cool. I'll try and find out what he's into. Cheers, mate.
How we going, bud?
Thanks. Yeah.
Later. Right, benefit of using that hairdryer means that I can crack on a bit with messing about. So doing things that I wasn't going to do. But what I am going to do before this silver disappears, I'm just going to go back in with a much brighter silver. And just stipple around. Because, you know, it should still have at least an edge, you'd assume. So I'm just going to overbrush with some brighter silver for a second. It's no way finished, but just makes me feel a bit better. But the corrosion texture did work. It definitely has a mottled roughness to it. I'm just going to reload this screen a second. That's better. Right. Yeah, we'll do this, and then I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to go back to the skin tone again. And by dicking about with the metallics there quickly, just gives me a bit of an idea on how things are going to look. Plus, if I end up putting more stuff over the top, it's helpful to have a new base that's brighter, because the more washes and the more enamels and whatever else I end up doing, and I apply them to the mini, it will get darker and darker and darker. So just having that now brighter silver base is really helpful. Plus, we don't really have that much in the way of silver to paint, so I just realised there's a little tiny bit of like jewellery or something hanging off of his horn here. So let's just paint that silver a second. Righty. Just grab that little spiky leg piece of armour on that side. Do it on that side. Okay. Right. All right, back to where I was about half an hour ago, where I sat here and went, right, okay, this is the last thing I'm doing. And it's me going back on the flash. So I'm going to go back through, try only hit the higher bits. all the lumps and bumps, just lighten them back out with pallid witch flesh. And if we want to, we can go a bit silly and make them a lot brighter. Which I might actually have to do for this top bit of his belly, because it's still looking very purple. I think I'm going to have to go into that seam. Make it quite a bit more extreme on that bit there. I'll try stippling it in just to mottle it. There is a blueberry type thing there that's going to be yellow. And we are adding in red with that blood for the blood god later. That's like the last sort of thing that gets done. Okay, happy with that. Face still needs a decent amount of highlighting. I love the Richter's grin on him. It's so cool. And let's get that hand there. Just work my way around in a second. Got those nails. Just do the same. Samey same. Just a lot of blobbing on those bits there. Ugh. I'm sick of the sound of my voice now. Right. Not long to go. Just attempt to pick these out. Back of his hand, that hand needs to be done. Actually, that hand needs to be done in general, doesn't it? Because it's not that bright on those nails, and I need it to be. I want the top of those knuckles to be brighter as well. I think I was being a bit too... I think I'm being a tad too safe. I need to really bump that back up to the pallid witch flesh colour. Yep, had to clip everything. I clipped it all. The push fit thing has been a bit of divisive as well. A lot of people are like, yeah, push fit's great, but no, not for me. Nope. Clipped off every single post and they've all gone together lovely then. Every time I've gone to attempt to do it the push fit way, I've regretted it. So I'm sure there'll be some people out there that'll be like, no, it's amazing. The push fit thing works perfectly every time for me, but it doesn't work for me, and it was not worth the hassle of fixing it once it didn't work. So every year or two when a new push fit kit comes out, I generally try it and I always balls it up. And I don't think it's a case of get good. I think it's just a case of Pushfit hates me. Right. Now, Reikland Flesh Shade. I think I want a bit more Flesh Shade in here. Oh, that might be a bit too much, god damn it. Yeah, I get them saying like the kid side of things, but in all honesty, my kids, I've got 2 kids, and my 12-year-old, I can guarantee you, would completely mess that up. And he's not like a special kid or anything. Can I say that? Yeah, I could say that. Actually, no, he is. They have no common sense these days. But yeah, he would 100% completely and utterly screw those kids up. But the other thing as well is like, love my son. I'm not spending 160 quid on a box set for him, nor would I expect him to be able to play the game. So, not sure who they were really catering the push fit for on this one. And I honestly think that you have to spend more time making sure that you've really, really cut that mini out of the frame on push fit. Because if you've left anything that sits along the seams when you're trying to squash something together, it won't go together. Exactly. I think, if it's like an Age of Sigmar starter set or a 40k starter set, something like that, then like fine. Underworlds, all that sort of stuff. Like, but when it's a really expensive game, I don't see that being marketed at kids. Okay, so that next coat of wash hopefully has done a decent job. Yeah, I wanted to not. I did, and then I just realised it was. I could see how it was going to go. So what I've done is I've just applied another wash. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to wet blend in some palette bitch flesh while everything's still soaking. Hello, bud. Are you collecting something? No, that's all right. I thought you were on my pre-order list for something, but I just realised that I'm thinking of someone else.
to say. I was thinking it. This was dead silence.
Which ones?
The synthetic ones, the white ones.
Oh, the GW synthetic ones.
No, it's the
The Army Painter Master Set. They're really nice. They're not synthetic. You ruined them already.
They're not ruined. I'm just not big fan.
That takes a while.
Your detail brush is so cursed. He's got a brush. He's got a brush for like really fine detail where he's taken one and just snipped all of the other hairs off. It's like one hair. It's so wrong.
You don't need a smaller brush for fine detail. You can literally use a medium layer brush for fine detail.
No, it's like literally like points.
Yeah, no, you don't need a tiny brush.
Because the point at the end of the
It's the point that you use. It's not like the amount of bristles.
To be fair, I've noticed I've been buying bigger brushes, but like fine, like medium layer brushes.
I just use medium layer brush for everything.
Yeah, it's worked. I've done it. It was a shitty brush anyway. Like it was gone either way. Well, this is really good to say. Yeah, those are really good.
Too bad.
Just 3 brushes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get them now. That's it. Yeah, I mean, I said I'd get this. If I was going to get any powerful set, I'd do this. I do some strings. I don't think you black agent. I don't know. I'll still grab some girls.
That's right, I'm just saying to put it there. Because you'll put it in the wrong place and then it'll be up here and it'll get covered in paint.
Oh. Oh, is that the new Darkwater? Is Darkwater?
Yeah.
Set?
Yeah.
I really like. I know everyone likes that guy, but I really like the big.
I like all the Nurgle stuff.
Yeah, I like. I love
everything.
the Executioner sword, dude. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, they're really good. There's a thing that shows you what they come out as. Which colour is it you've got there?
Mud.
Which one? Oh, does it just say mud?
Yeah.
Oh, there is a little like comparison like thing.
Oh, sorry, muddy brown. Sorry, I didn't see it.
So a turned earth one's really nice. I don't know where my little comparison sheet's gone for it. It's disappeared. Yeah, they're pretty good.
The box set and a Chaos Lord. So you got the single character moves. And I reckon I'm gonna need some glue. I don't think I have any. At least if I do have any glue, it's probably dried up by now. Oh, it's left. You don't do bags anymore, do you?
The only bag I'll get that I have will fit about 3/4 of this. So you can chuck it in there if you want it.
I mean, yeah. That's fine.
That amount of money. Yeah, it'll go about 3/4 of the way.
Don't carry it all together.
See? It'll go more than 3/4.
If it works, it works. Thank you very much. Huh?
What does it say on it?
Gravel and sand fixer.
That's what it does. It fixes pigments and stuff. So you put like gravel and sand on your base, and then you get that stuff, and you drip it on top, and then you let it dry, and then it fixes. No, it's not super glue. Else it would say super glue. It's a fixer. So like pigment powders, loose floaty stuff.
It's to stop loose floaty stuff from like going everywhere. Like kind of.
You'd still use PVA to like glue that stuff down.
Kieran, you know when I had that snow material when I did the redemption thread?
It's pretty good for powdered snow, actually.
Yeah. Well, I used PVA glue to stick it on. I put some of that over the top to like fix the top layer. It's like it's. I mean, do you have it's a bit.
No, I don't think I've got any PVA there. Only because hobby PVA glue costs about 10 times as much as just PVA glue. You can go to the range and just buy some white glue, wood glue, white glue.
Dice sets, but I guess all the Space Marine dice sets are out. I don't know how I feel about the Raven Guard one. I don't know blue. Yeah, I thought it'd be black and white.
And then again, you've got so many black and white dice.
I don't like the Knight's dice. I don't know why it's yellow. That's. I don't understand. All the Drukari dice is blue and green. White Scar stuff is pretty cool though. That's actually really cool dice.
Where is my yellow? Yellow, yellow, yellow.
I'm not rushing out. I'm taking the test.
He's just walking as slow as he possibly can around.
You heard about what Aiden and Dan have said? They're going to buy Sigmar spearheads.
Yeah, I heard. I talked to Aiden and he said he's going to buy the rat one. I forget what they're called now. Gloomspite.
That's not rats, that's goblins.
Yeah, Gloomspite gets goblins.
No, but aren't they the
goblins?
Trolls sorry. Goblins. Yeah, goblins and the wolves. That's what I meant. Yeah, sorry.
The Snowfang one, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I don't know which one Dan's getting. If I didn't do Seraphon because the dinosaurs are the coolest faction, I think Slaves to Darkness would be.
Slaves to Darkness is definitely like the
I
second
actually quite like Undivided Chaos Warriors in Age of Sigmar more than like the other divergent ones. They're really cool.
We've got Valdari characters here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never want to put together Lycus ever again. It's the worst kit I've ever put together.
It's Jane.
It's Jane.
Jane Doe. Was Lycus not a good model to put together?
She's fine. It's
just fiddly.
It's fiddly, and you've got to like hold it together. So you build her, and then you build up her base, and then she attacks. So you know, like the forearm she has on her back wings thing. You build those into the base, and then you attach her through her backpack to like the base and the thing. So she's jumping.
And then it's like all the lightning stuff.
Yeah, and like, she attaches to her base, like the character does, by like 9 very small points that you have to hold for them to glue, and it's just a pain. Like I did it in the end, but it became annoyingly difficult. I could be just doing it wrong though, to be fair. You going? Is Tau like what you're going all in on? I only got the new Ravener kit, but that's cool. Top corner.
Oh, have I got Raveners up there, have I?
Yeah.
Someone asked them yesterday. I was like, no, I don't have any. Didn't realise I put them up there. Never mind.
Oh, I got Victor's got as well.
Ugh, I hate them. I hate them so much. Whoever designed their rules is like the biggest fanboy I've ever seen.
I know, it's crazy.
Gotta sell them.
I know, but like, come on.
Gotta sell those Smurfs.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know, but
they were like, yeah,
it's
we're gonna give them
excessive.
4 wounds.
4 wounds, 2 up save. I don't care if you don't have an invuln. Like, how you 2
2
up
up
save?
save is, to be fair, in playing guard, 2 up save can sometimes be better than a 4 up.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, you need 83 for it to be actually effective.
Yeah, a lot of stuff
That's
doesn't.
for cover. For like,
I'll be honest, it's rare when I'm playing guard, unless someone's got like, unless like Necrons where they've got like a Ghost Cannon or Tau. It's rare that someone puts me above like a 4 of invuln.
What does that mean? There's not many armies that actually get like AP 6 or AP 7.
It can be bad. There's a lot of armies that can stack it. I think is it the new Thousand Sun stuff where they can stack AP quite a bit.
But they do a lot more wounds there, I think.
Yeah, but the thing is when it does become a bit of a detriment when someone can like stack AP and they just become fucking.
Yeah,
it's like a -5 gun. You're like, oh, you don't get to save. But yeah, I think it's I think the thing that annoys me is Victor's Guard have 5 attacks on 1 weapon, which is like and then 4 wounds.
Like
what terminates with shields?
Like my sword brethren, right? Like they got legal hits naturally, but they only get 3 attacks.
Yeah, that's wild. And well, it's the 4 wounds. It's like 4 wounds, Terminators with shield, and Victor's Guard.
So yeah, mine are 3 up save 3 wounds. So.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna use my
Oh, Tomb Kings.
Tomb Kings are amazing. That's my preferred army now. That's all I've been playing lately.
I love them. I think Old World's a really cool thing. I think it's interesting because I've watched it when it first came out and what it is now.
Tomb King just aren't affected by so many rules that it's just like cool. I don't need to learn like at least half the rules for Old World. Nice.
I mean, I know they have. Well, no, they could do eventually. I'm shitting on it if I don't think they would. But if they do bring out like original kind of like Lizard Men, I'd be very hard pressed to not try it. Yeah. Especially because like all the old characters would come back, maybe. No, because they have brought back some of the old characters from fantasy because they're really old. Like Cetra's in the Tomb Kings, isn't he?
Yeah, the old model on his chariot.
Yeah, see, that's cool. I'd love that. And if they did the same thing for like, because all the Lizard Men
I wish it didn't have characters like that. Well, just in general, like characters on vehicles.
40k doesn't do it that much.
Some of these have got prices on them. Can you have a look for me and tell me what it is? Because I can't bloody remember. The ones at the back.
Oh, £9.85.
There we go.
Yeah.
I knew that something that got chucked out without a price on it.
It's actually £6.
Oh yeah, it's actually £2.
Yeah, no, it's not. I knew it was close to a tenner. 2 of them, 1 of them, Tufts and thingy. 24.85.
Well, there you go.
I'm going through.
Yep, solid.
Thank you very much.
I was going to say, do you want a bag, but you're chucking them in your pockets, aren't you? So.
Alright. Thank you very much.
No worries. Have a good one, lads.
Look at the box, like some type of fucking. Thank you.
Yo. Okay. Can't remember if my mic was on or not. I did mute it because I had to use the hairdryer. I'm currently slapping a bit of blood for the blood god into recesses. And then we'll go back over with some pallid witch flesh at some stage. And I did go quickly around and just use some yellow to paint in the actually very minimal amount of buboes that he's got. So I like to use a tiny amount of blood for the blood god in recesses. Oh shit, that was too much. And then wet brush. And just go in and pull it into recesses. It's very good for bruised skin. But it's great fun for slapping over the top of all your little sores and gross bits. And then just wipe it off. And because we're still technically highlighting with pallid witch flesh, we haven't actually finished doing that. We can always go back in afterwards and stipple in some highlights for the skin. It's just very good for painting in those sore patches. And it kind of preps for any gooey grossness that you've still got to apply. I mean, it is Nurgle, so we do get to go OTT with it, which is amazing. So I'm just plopping it over those buboes on his leg. And we'll just wet this brush. And we'll just pull it off the top surface on the actual like yellow pustule thing. And we'll just drag it into bits in the recesses. And apparently I will let go of the model. So we've still got a fair amount to do. There's still like hooves, bone bits, all that sort of stuff, but we can kind of really help ourselves out by doing these sorts of things. That's going to be too much again. But I'll just do that too, up here. It does, it makes such a big difference. Especially that thin blood for the blood god when it hits like all of the like purpley bits that we put in before. It just makes everything look a lot more bruised. I generally like to do it along all the edges of like bony protrusions. I've done it on quite a lot of my minis, just to thin down blood for the blood god. Just along the edges of armor plates and stuff. It's just, yeah, my flesh eater courts have got this sort of thing going on as well. It takes that purpliness away and adds it back into like more of a red sore skin tone. It's good for these sort of like shadowed areas where they've kind of maintained a lot of the kind of black grey area from the dry brushing earlier. That will turn them into more darker sore patches. Don't need to worry too much about the fact that it's glossy, because one, I'm going to be hitting the whole model with ultra matte varnish at some point, but also it's supposed to be red, sore, slimy sort of areas. So kind of can expect a certain amount of glossiness to it. I have no idea if he's got pupils, if he's got eyeballs, because his little pug face is so scrunched up that it's actually really difficult to tell. So in the final throes of what I'm gonna do today with him, and I'm just gonna use this pallid witch flesh, then I'll come back in and touch up those areas where the blood's a bit too thick and shiny. I'm just gonna stipple this pallid witch flesh in. I find Blood for the Blood God dries fast as well. So any bits where I think that's a bit too bloody or a bit too red, can just go in here. And just whiten them out again. And it all adds to that little grossness. Grossy grossness. I've lost the ability to talk normal. I think I've spent about 5 or 6 hours today semi-talking to myself. But I'm actually happy with that. So what's the runtime currently for how long I've been yapping to you lot? So we're coming up to 2 hours. Coming up to 2 hours, we've achieved, let's try and get closer. In fact, let's try and get closer, and then let's hide my thumb so it tries not to. So that's what we've achieved today. Lots of different bruisey sort of hues. This big purpley bruisey hand. We've painted chipping on the armour. We haven't worked on the wings or the back plates yet. We've done a minimum amount on the actual metallics on the weapons, but they've had the basics on them. Mostly been working on that flesh tone, really. So yeah, happy. I'm happy with that. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. It's been fun. Oh my god, it's not. It's been 2 hours and 20 minutes. Okay, cool. Anyway, yeah, have a good one, everyone. Anyone that's watching this later on replay, apologies. It's a bloody long video, but I'll probably condense some more down in